What is up, guys? So I just want to give my, my final thoughts on, what's been going on lately as far as the Robb Elementary School that was down in Texas. If you've been living under the rock lately, apparently there has been a shooting down. There was a shooting last week involved where an 18-year-old kid was shooting up the school and killed a bunch of students and two teachers. And he also killed, I believe, his grandmother, his grandmother, before he went out and shoot up the school. So, it's a crying shame, and it's tough. So, you know, so I've been looking around lately. For past few days and a week, I've been kind of researching, seeing everybody's opinion, different, what everybody else is thinking here and there. And of course, I've been watching the news lately. And let's be honest with you, man. I mean, sometimes you have to be careful on what the media pulls out because they have an agenda just like politicians do, right? Because their narrative or their goal is to have ratings, and a lot of them do get involved with politics. So all they're trying to get to you do is basically just get their rating, make money, and make sure you have the political you stand up to that actual political party. I think you guys know what I mean. um so you have to kind of be careful on how they put out. So, and I don't just watch, the news. I looked up, different YouTubers that talk about it. For example, like the Hodge twins, you guys know their political channel, and the dude named Officer Tatum, who is also an officer. He was an officer himself. And I know people in my family well, I know one that actually is an officer, and there's a couple out there who used to be an officer. And actually, my dad works in a police department in Miami-Dade. So, so I kind of understand how it is to be as an officer. And I'm just gonna say, based on what I gathered and what I looked, and watching different people's perspective on it, I would say that I'm like in the middle. Like, I can understand how a guy like, Officer Tatum would say, like, look, the cops did what they had to do, and they did what they could. But I can also understand what a guy like the conservative twins, where like they should have done more. Like they should have come there a lot earlier. And according to, there was a first responder, or I guess they call it a first responder. There was an off-duty cop that actually went to the school, and again, and there were a couple of teams that was like backing him up to make sure nothing were going on or whatever. And he was able to pull off not only his daughter, but a few other students in the classrooms. So I'm just gonna say, like, officers, the officers over there, they did what they could, yes, but they could have done more, if that makes any sense. Like, there had to be a way where they could have got into school without any shooting necessary. You know what I mean? Like, there has to be a way where the cops, the SWAT teams, they could be able to get inside there, and avoid having the shooter, the 18-year-old kid, try to shoot any other kids or any other teachers, especially the kids that are in the school. Because it's your job to protect the citizens, protect the students, to protect teachers. You know what I mean? Um, it's I I was also suspicious the way how they handled it, and I did see that you know eventually later on they broke down the windows and they had students come out of the window. I get like a couple hours after some of the shooting had occurred, and that's what I mean. Like they could have done that before all that occurred. You know what I mean? Like there's a whole bunch of cops and there's a whole bunch of SWAT teams. And listen, I get it. No cop is different. No cop. Cops are not always perfect, right? Cops are not perfect. Just like us as individuals, we're not perfect. Okay, that's just the way how life is. So, we all just gotta deal with it. At the end of the day, yes, the cops could have done a lot better here and there, but it seems like eventually later on, like it was either put it this way, I'd rather to be have them save the students as much students they can later on rather than never ever doing it. You know what I mean? Because then that tells you they're not doing their job. But like I said, I just feel like maybe they could have done it a lot earlier, and it could have been avoided. You know what I mean? Um, and I know this law that's been trying to be preached to the Senate that, or it's been trying to get pushed to about the background check laws and all the gun restricts and everything like that. And to tell you the truth, man, you can try to take away guns, some of the guns, or restrict the guns, or put any stricter background check. It doesn't really solve as much as to the killer itself, because a killer, not just 18-year-old kid, but I'm talking about anybody individual who is a killer or a murderer or is attempting in his mind to kill somebody. They will do whatever they can to make sure that the job is successful. Okay, they can have a clean background check, an ID. Here in Florida, basically all you need is just an ID, and you can own a gun. You know, um, so even if they put more strict, meaning like you never killed anybody and shit like that, they can have a clean background check, and they can still be killers, and they can still tend to want to kill somebody. And not every person is like that. For instance, when I have my own house and everything like that, listen, tell you guys right now, my house is gonna be far fewer protected. Okay, there's gonna be securities in there. There's gonna be guns in the house, and yes, guns in the house, because listen, life is too short, and the way how things are nowadays, and cops, you don't know how long they're gonna be there if you're in danger. You don't know how long it's gonna take for them to come to your house or wherever you're at. So, in my opinion, this is from what I believe in. I believe in constitutional right. Don't get me wrong. I believe in constitutional right. I'm not saying you have to get a gun, but what I'm saying is you always have to protect yourself, because you just never know. You never know, man. You have to protect yourself. Have as much security, technology security, because now I'm sure we got a whole bunch of technology securities out there that we can use to protect ourselves, and it doesn't have to involve weapons. I'm just saying, for me as an individual, once I have a house, I'm telling you right now, everything's gonna be secured. I promise you that. I'm gonna be well trained, gonna be well trained as far as like holding a weapon, holding a gun, and making sure that I have security cameras everywhere outside of the property, and making sure everything is secured. Okay, just like in my car, like if I'm driving, I'm gonna make sure that I'm secure. Protect, because as a man, especially if you have a family, as a man, It's your job to protect your family and to protect yourself. So, listen, amen. Listen, I'm telling you right now, the way how the things are now, you always have to protect yourself at any cost. It's like no different when you were bullied in school, right? When you were bullied in school, your parents taught you and told you straight up, especially your dad. I'm saying that's boys and girls. Well, boys and girls. Your dad or your parents had told you, hey, listen, the next time the bully bothers you in school, if he picks on you, if he hits you, listen, you gotta do what you gotta do. You gotta protect yourself. You have to defend yourself. That's what I believe. I believe in defending yourself, you might get cut or whatever, but at the end of the day, the main important thing is you protect yourself and you are still alive. So, when we were, in school, you were taught, if a kid hits you, you hit them back. It's no different or if there's an altercation where a kid, like, you feel threatened, you have to protect yourself. Okay, so, point said, as far as, like, guns and security and maximum, like, pretty good security and everything else. Listen, that to me, that's the way how it should be, to tell you the truth. And like I said, you don't have to own a weapon. You really don't. You don't have to own anything, but you need to have proper secure, because like I said, you just never know. You never know. And so back to the law. So, hopefully that I don't feel like it's gonna approve. I don't think the other side of the party is going to approve it, and kind of rightfully so. But I can understand why. I understand why other people would want that background check. But like I said, a killer can have a clean background check, and he still can get a gun, and he can still go kill people. I always tell people, and I said this on the previous video, it's not the gun itself that do harm. It's the person who owns the gun does harm. It's the person itself that does harm to people with that gun. The guns have got nothing to do with it. Because even if they, let's say, how about this, right? With your hands, right? You can knock somebody out if you have a really good stiff hand. You could, if you punch somebody in the face, split second, they'd be on the coma or dead in a split second. So you mean to tell me that it's your, so get this shit, right? So you gotta tell me that, that we gotta restrict our fists now. So what they're gonna do? They're gonna chop our hands off, and then we can't use anything now. We can't use it to jerk off or anything like that. It's just crazy, and it's just ridiculous. It's no different as somebody is holding a gun or holding a knife. A knife is a perfect example. A guy or a girl, whoever, they can go and mentally think of doing something crazy and use a knife to kill people. Look how many news you look at how many people you see on the news or on the article where you see people stabbing each other to death. Okay, that comes with black, white, Hispanic, you name it. It comes from everywhere. Not just here in Florida, not just there in Texas, everywhere. It's all over the place. So, and matter of fact, if you look at those penitentiaries, I'm sure there's a lot of stabbings involved. Like man, if you haven't seen those A&E shows, man, some of them, you can tell they're a little bit, like they're just there for the ratings. But there's other ones where like I think I watched this show called, I forget what, I'm thinking what the show was called. I can't remember right now. I cannot remember. It's Straight something. No, not Straight. It's, damn, I cannot remember what it was called. 60 Days In. There, yeah, I finally got it. 60 Days In. If you don't know the show, it's basically where you have random guesses be involved in the jail cell or detention center. I think it's a jail cell for like 2 months, and they have to gather evidence and stuff like that. So that way the cops or the sheriff department can figure out what is it that they need to do better, which is pretty. It's not too bad. Would I fucking do it? Fuck no. They could have paid me $2,000 fucking dollars to go in there for 2 months. Fuck that. 2,000 or 5,000, whatever. Fuck that, man. Get the fuck out of here. But anyway, that's not the point of the story. If you look at shows like that, and not to mention, jails and stuff like that, you know how many, we have no idea how many people or prisoners would create their own weapon just to either, to kill people or stuff like that inside the jail cell itself. Killers can create weapons, as far as I'm concerned. So, again, it's not the guns that do harm. It's the killer. It's the person who owns a gun that harms people, that kills people. Those people, you have to hold them accountable. But a lot of people also forget easily, or seem to want to forget, that a lot of these killers, there's others that they just do it for the hell of it, but there are those who mentally, they're just not there. Mentally, they're fucked up there. And that's what I feel like has happened with that 18-year-old kid. The reason why he did it, I think mentally, psychologically, I still think he was just fucked up in the head. Because there's no way at 18 and 19 years old, he would think of doing something like that. I think he was 18 at that point, but whatever. He still was a kid. 18, that's, I can't wrap my head, like, there's no way. And I think a lot of it, maybe most of it, is probably from what you see on TV. What you see on TV, what you see on, on entertainment, on music, on movies, and TV shows. Not too many kids, even at that age, are not quite developed on watching those type of programs. So maybe this is what I'm thinking, maybe that could be that. Who knows? Or it might be other things where, somebody, maybe he picked it up from a friend, or maybe there was a family history where somebody did do harm. We don't know. We all don't know. But, but all I can say is that I really think, especially that he killed his grandmother, which I don't quite understand that, And I saw what the mother has said, and sometimes you have to be careful on what the CNN interpreters or any other news interpreter or any other media interpreters put out on what that person is actually saying, because you don't know if they're really telling them, if they're really, saying those type of words. For all you know, the mother could be saying, she just had no idea. And look on her face. The look on her face, it seemed like she had no idea. Like there was no word. Like if I had a kid and they did some shit like that, I don't have any word other than the fact that it's my fault because he's my kid. He's my son. It's sad. It's sad that he did what he did, and it's sad that the fact that this all had to end in a tragedy. So I'm sure deep down inside the mother, feels very responsible, because any mother or any father, any parents would, unless they didn't give three shits about their child. That's the only disclaimer. But looking at the videos of his mother, it seems like she really did care for child, you know. Um, I'm sure she's obviously she's holding herself responsible because it's her child, but, you know, still, I don't think deep down inside she knew exactly why, or uh, there shouldn't be any reason. I don't think that was her worst thing. Like, I'm sure there was a reason. Like, meaning, like she was happy that she did it. I don't think that was her case at all. I really don't. Based on what I saw from her mother, from his mother, it didn't seem like it was. But it seems like the media was portraying to that. That's why I always say, you can't really believe everything that the media tells you. You take what you're given, and instead of thinking with your feelings or with your heart, you gotta use this. You gotta have common sense and logic, and make up your own conclusion. Like, okay, I think maybe this might occur because this actually makes a lot more sense. Instead of saying believing everything what you see, because you don't know what really happened. And I saw some of the reports, the things that CNN did on some of these people. It makes me laugh because sometimes the way how they ask questions is like almost like they were acting in some sort of way. But anyway, I'm not gonna get into that. And politicians, to tell you the truth, listen, politicians is the worst people you ever want involved because all they care about is voting. All they care about is your vote. That's why I get suspicious about, this whole voting right. Like, does it really count? You know what I mean? Does it really count? Do it, is the voting system correct? Because I think maybe like 3 times, well, since I've been alive, it's been like maybe a couple of times where there's been error on, on the election. So it makes you kind of wonder, So that's why I stay away from voting. Stay away from all that shit because, politics can be very, very dirty. You know what I mean? So, politicians ain't gonna do it. Joe Biden is not gonna do a damn thing. I'm sorry. He ain't gonna do a damn thing. All he cares about is the votes. Him and Kamala. Uh, and I doubt that this bill is gonna pass. I really doubt it. It's gonna piss a lot of people off though, people who own guns, because because they're trying to do what they have to do if something were to happen, or if they want certain guns that they feel like it's protected. And like I said before, it's not the guns that do harm. It's the people who owns the gun. It's the person individual who owns the guns is the one that you have to account for. Those are the killer. Those people that you see on the news that they kill people, those you hold responsible for, not the guns. Not the guns, not the knives, the individual. Like that 18-year-old kid, he's responsible for it. Not the rifles, nothing like that. It's him an individual that you hold him accountable for. Guns ain't got nothing to do with it at all. I'm sorry, guns ain't got nothing to do with it. And I don't give a shit what anybody thinks. There's no, even if you take away, like I said, even if you try to take away the guns, they will still, if a serial killer will do what they have to do to get the job done. That's just how the world is. There's good people and there's bad people. Just like there's good cops and bad cops, there's also good people and bad people. There's good politicians and there's bad politicians. We cannot always think in here. We cannot always think right here. Yes, it was a tragedy that this kid had to go through. It is a tragedy because, like I said, my heart goes out to those parents because I could imagine how I would feel if my child were in danger like that. Which is why I believe, the school system. Because, listen, I know because I've been through the school before. And let's be honest, they don't get that much protection. They really don't. And they have to either upgrade their maximum security, they upgrade their security as far as technology wise goes, or if they don't want cops with a big ass weapon, they can have that type of security technology where if something goes wrong, like the cops would know about it and they would handle the situation. Which brings me up to cops. We need more troops into the school because there's only, as far as I'm concerned, there's only one or two cops in the building. Like that's not enough. You need more than that. You need every building has to be secure. Every building, because I mean it's not this face it. I mean it's not just one fucking building that a school has. I mean there's like a whole bunch of fucking buildings that the school has, and that's why you have to be secure. And the cops should be able to have a suitable weapon, so that way something go down, like a robbery took place or whatever, and the shooting involves like this, he has to do what he has to do in order to protect the kids. You know what I mean? That's what a cop should do. You know what I mean? That's his job. That's his or her job. Because it's, hey man, I respect the blue. Don't get me wrong, I do. But they need more troops. They need more troops. And like I said, as far as the school goes, they need a better security. Better technology security. It's a tragedy, man. And, hopefully it doesn't get any worse than this. And, it's a crime shame. It really is. Those kids didn't have to go to that. Nobody didn't have to go to that. But, with lack of security, this is what happens when you have lack of security. This can happen. So I hope it's a valuable lesson to the police departments, to the SWATs, to to securities, to the school itself. Hope they realize that like we need to be better. Not the politicians, because they ain't gonna do nothing. Us as individuals, we have to do better. So we gotta protect our kids a lot better. That's just the gospel truth. And I heard on some of the private schools that they were allowed, on some of the teachers, when they're mature enough or when they're allowed to, that they were able to carry their own weapons just in case if something were to go down. Like if something were like this, like they could handle themselves. And I believe, teachers, if they wish to, they don't have to be forced or anything like that. If they wish to, if they have one, amen. There ain't nothing wrong with that. I don't think here in every United States, every state is gonna allow that, but it's not a bad idea. But the whole point of this is, the school itself and the police department got to do a lot better than we need more secure into important buildings like schools and shit like that. And if not, then something like this were to occur. So that's just my final thoughts, guys. And this is what I believe, and I always believe in it. I respect the hell out of the Blues because they're not always perfect, but honestly, like I said, they could have handled it a lot better. Like they can't sit there and say like they did the best they could and not say that they could have done better. Because I believe they could, but everything's happened for a reason. So post your comments down below. Let me know, what do you guys think of this whole situation? And remember, keep this shit respectful. Because if I see any of you guys talking shit, I mean, we can agree to disagree. We're all adults. But if I see any of you guys talking shit disrespectfully, I don't tolerate it. So, well, guys, if you would enjoy my thoughts, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and share. Make sure you guys click on the notification bell so that way you guys can get more coming videos in the near future. And if there's any videos you guys want me to take a look at, you can always just leave it in the comment section down below. Alright guys, well, until next time, peace out.